The rooster crowed with eyes upon us. A morning threat was nothing new, for us or for them. But the marshal swore that we drew first.
Scene 1. Silhouette of 3 riders trotting on horseback, leading 2 additional ponies across the prairie into the evening.
Scene 2. Worn out and hungry, Drake and Francis are slumped next to a cold fire. Francis says,
Damn, I'm starving.
Drake replies,
Been 3 days since we finished off old Red.
Ugh, poor old Red. Best horse I ever had.
It's come down to the wire, Francis. How many rounds do we have?
That's the only thing we got plenty of. If I only had a deer or even a coyote, we'd poke his damn head out. I'd pick it off, certain, and end this misery.
Amen, good friend. You never miss.
a chipmunk chirps in the nearby thicket. Francis and Drake share a glance. With her rifle, Francis peels off into the brush, pursuing the animal noise. Drake tends to the fire. 3 outlaws, Dirty Doug, Skinner, and Leonard, ride into the camp on horseback, leading 2 ponies. Each of them has a gun drawn on Drake. Dirty Doug smirks.
Well, look at what we have here. Don't you know you could die out on this mountain all by yourself, lonesome? Boy?
Skinner and Leonard chuckle. Skinner pokes.
Why is someone as skinny and horseless as you all alone way up here?
Alone? You got sights on you right now, mister.
From the thicket, Francis shoots off Skinner's hat and then re-enters the camp. Startled yet hostile, Dirty Doug says,
I'll be dogged. For a couple of starving pilgrims with nothing worth stealing, y'all sure got something we could use.
Huh, there.
Skinner, we'll make camp here, fellas. Get those shooters some grub.
Drake and Francis eye each other. Leonard pulls out some supplies from his saddlebags. Skinner prepares Drake and Francis some food. Drake and Francis cautiously eat for the first time in days. Dirty Doug snorts.
Relax and eat up, pilgrims. Either we leave you here dead, or you're coming with us.
Ooh, plot thickens.
Skinner and Leonard chuckle. Drake asks,
Where does going with you take us?
Leonard blurts out,
Whoa!
Rose Springs, then on to the bank of Antelope.
Dirty Doug glares at Leonard and snaps.
Shut it, Len. Going with us takes you 2 to hell. We'll loan you them 2 extra horses to get you there.
Drake and Francis share a glance, but continue to eat. Scene 3. Into a moonlit night, the 5 riders ride. Francis and Drake's bellies are full, but their minds are filled with worry. Out of the mountains and onto the prairie, the riders ramble. Dirty Doug snaps.
You newbies are gonna do exactly as I say, or we can leave you dead right here, unburied on the prairie.
In the distance, a coyote cries, and moonlight shines on the town of Rose Springs. Scene 4. A rooster crows as the riders enter Rose Springs at first light. Dirty Doug coaches.
Hang your heads and keep your guns holstered. You need to appear worn out and desperate. Leonard, remember how starved we were riding into Carson City back in '71? Play that part. But when the time comes, there's no reason to leave any of these town folk alive. You new boys, by the way, you're gonna rob the bank. We'll do the rest.
Skinner glances up and whispers,
powerful rifle.
A townslady appears out of nowhere and points a rifle at the riders
Surprise.
and fires. Other townspeople appear in doorways and windows and begin firing.
We're all firing. The whole town's firing on you guys.
Dirty Doug yells.
Spread out, boys. They all knew we were coming. Kill them all.
Leonard, Skinner, and Dirty Doug shoot back to kill. Drake and Francis are overwhelmed with regret and fear. Guns crack, powder smokes, and flesh spills. A storekeeper cocks a Henry rifle pointed at Drake. In a panic, Drake steadies his rifle on the storekeeper and fires. Scene 5. What will be known as the Rose Springs Massacre concludes. Dirty Doug's plan to pillage the town and rob the bank was only half successful. The town is decimated. Leonard is dead.
Sorry.
Skinner has a gunshot wound in his leg. Francis has one in the shoulder. On horseback, the 4 remaining riders assess the aftermath. Skinner reflects.
Dang, those townspeople, they must have heard how we waylaid Gonzo.
Dirty Doug spits and says,
We'll use a different tactic in Antelope. We'll take hostages. Since you newbies still owe us for them horses, you'll do the dirty work. But first, we got wounds to patch up. Let's skin out and camp for a night up in the mountains.
and Skinner says,
Yeah.
I'm dead.
Good plan, Doug. The sooner we can stop bleeding, the sooner we'll make it to Antelope. Then we'll nab us some hostages, rob the bank, and burn the town to the ground.
Drake draws a hidden revolver on Skinner and says,
Nope, sir.
with one arm, Frances raises her rifle on Dirty Doug and says,
We'll be parting ways now, sir.
Drake and Francis back away cautiously with their guns still pointed at Doug and Skinner. Drake says,
Go ahead and draw, assholes.
Francis never misses.
Thanks for the horses.
That's beautiful.
Nice. I'm
Beautiful.
gonna pour one out a little to Leonard.
Okay, enter the marshal. So, marshal gets situated because scene 6 starts in.
An antelope. I'm weak, but I'm awake.
3, 2, 1.
Scene 6. Drake and Francis ride to the town of Antelope. Francis is weak but awake. Her shoulder continues to bleed terribly. Drake says,
We got no choice. Without a doctor, we're not gonna make it to the morning, Francis.
riding into the middle of Antelope, Drake and Francis are greeted by the marshal. Drake hollers,
Marshal, my friend needs a doctor.
the marshal replies,
Thank you.
Your words mean nothing. Your description means everything. Sacrifice your weapons, and maybe we'll have a look at that shoulder.
Drake retorts,
Marshal, you have our guns. My friend needs medical help now.
the marshal says,
A telegraph just came in. You match the description of 2 bandits wanted for murder in Rose Springs. 4 wanted posters are being printed as we speak. As a matter of fact, there's a $500 bounty on every member of your gang. But I can reckon we can patch up that bloody shoulder and then hang you 2 properly.
Ooh.
Nice lines, Marshall.
Ooh.
Bleeding profusely, Francis says,
Marshal, Hell on Horses is headed this way soon. You can hang us now, or we can save this town. Either way, I lose.
The Marshal has no words. She gazes at Francis's bloody shoulder and into her own mind. Drake and Francis kick their horses and bolt out, back onto the prairie. Cut! Marshall, nicely done.
Good job, Marshall.
Let's let that plane clear. Constantinople, clock tower, clock tower, clock tower. Constantinople, clock tower, clock tower, clock tower.
No, watch him do this, huh?
Clock tower, clock tower. Clock tower, clock tower. Okay, Skinner, you ready?
Yeah.
Dirty Doug, you ready?
All right, Skinner.
All right, this is a scene with Dirty Doug, Skinner, and then Drake and Francis will enter the scene. In 3, 2, 1, scene 7. Afternoon sets in as Dirty Doug and Skinner rest in their mountain camp. They sip coffee and plot around a warm campfire. Skinner's leg is bandaged up neatly, and Skinner says,
We'll be good as gold till morning. Doug, then we can torture some town people and rob the bank in Antelope. Just as good, we took down Gonzalo.
After we destroy Antelope, we gonna be rich. So let's make it memorable. Besides, I got a bone to pick with that Marshal of Antelope.
Skinner notes,
I got a bone to pick with those 2 starving horses stealers we saved.
Me too. Someday we'll be sure to track them 2 down. And
Drake and Francis quietly stash their horses and creep into the camp with guns pointed at Doug and Skinner. Drake calls out,
Looks like you two are on the short end of the life on this time, fellas.
Skinner scrambles for his revolver. Francis shoots Skinner in his good leg, and Drake puts one between Skinner's eyes. Dirty Doug cowers in fright. Francis shoots Doug through the forehead and then winces in shoulder pain and exhaustion. There you go. Drake straps Doug and Skinner's dead bodies onto their horses. In pain and silence, Drake and Francis ride out towards Antelope, leading the 2 additional horses strapped with corpses. Scene 8. The silhouette of a lone horse rider leading 3 horses strapped with corpses staggers across the prairie into an evening sun. Cut scene. Last scene. Ready, Marshall? Yeah, Skinner, you do the countdown. Okay, you do the countdown.
3, 2, 1.
Last scene. The setting sun casts an orange glow over Antelope. The town is quiet. The Marshal ponders in her rocking chair with a troubled expression. A deputy calls out, Marshal! Looks like we got a bounty hunter coming in. The Marshal stops rocking and pauses. She spits. Then proceeds to have a look. Through a noose hanging in the gallows, the Marshal sees the approaching rider. A rooster crows.
Okay.
Cut!
That was great.
we have like a fleet of roosters.
Worn saddles, cold and hungry. A coyote cries at a harvest moon. Light shines on the next town, so we ride into another unknown.